Cynthia Schiff came home from working out after work. She usually stopped in on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to work out at the women's gym in town. She always felt better after a good workout. Today's workout wasn't the best though. The gym had one all-purpose machine, and a woman was on it who would sit for 5 minutes, then do 2 presses, then rest again for 5 minutes. She had asked the woman nicely if she could use the machine, and the woman had snortingly replied that she was using it. She said hello to her husband Charlie, who was watching the evening news. He said he had supper started and it would be ready in 15 minutes. She went to change. At supper she told him about a woman she supervised who just couldn't seem to get the fact that the bank required all tellers to check signatures on all transactions. She said it was getting very frustrating watching 10 tellers and having one who can't get into the groove. I have had a very bad day. With that teller screwing up, and at the gym a woman mostly sitting on the all-purpose machine who wouldn't give it up, that's made me all frazzled. Would you mind doing the dishes tonight? Doing dishes is woman's work. I cook because all the great chefs are men, but doing dishes is definitely women's work. Why don't you leave them until tomorrow? I want them done tonight before the food dries on them. You can do them, it isn't as if I asked you to do something impossible. He again stated that was women's work, and she got angrier by the minute. When they had finished eating she was very angry. She got up and grabbed his ear and pinched and twisted until he agreed to do the dishes. She told him there was an apron hanging on the pantry door, to wear it to protect his clothes. He got the dishwater ready, then looked at the apron. It was a white half apron trimmed with lace all around. There was no way he was going to wear that. He had just started when Cynthia came through from the bathroom. She saw he wasn't wearing the apron and got it, and before he knew he was tightly tied into it. She went to read the paper and then remembered she wanted a glass of ice water. She called to him and asked if he would bring her a glass of ice water. He brought her the ice water and she thanked him. He did a mocking curtsy and said, "Whatever madam wants," in a snide voice. "Your curtsies need work," she said, knowing that would make him angry. Then she started thinking that he didn't do much around the house. He certainly could do more than sit and watch sports on television. His attitude needed a major adjustment. Tomorrow was Saturday, and she always cleaned the house on Saturdays. It was an all-day job. He worked until noon on Saturdays and she vowed he was going to help her clean tomorrow or else. The next morning he went to work. He was the accountant for a man who owned 3 drive-ins in town. They all had inside seating and drive-up windows. He had a little 8x8 office and it was his own little world. He was done by noon, and when he got home Cynthia had lunch ready. They sat and were eating lunch. "You know, I have been thinking. Every Saturday I clean this house and you watch your games on television. It wouldn't hurt you to help me clean. It would be a big help and I would get done faster. I'm even cleaning after supper to finish the job. I don't get a chance to relax at all. After lunch I want you to help me clean. It should be a 50-50 proposal, not one-sided. Cleaning is women's work and I don't look like a woman, do I? Does that mean you are not going to help me? You got it." She angrily took a bite out of her sandwich and decided he was going to help or she would go down fighting. He'd said he didn't look like a woman. Maybe she should make him look like a woman. After lunch she went into the bedroom and laid out a complete outfit on the bed. She even put a pair of her high-heel mules there. Then she went into him. "I asked you nicely to help me clean. Are you going to help me or not? If you don't you will regret it, I promise you that. What part of that is women's work don't you understand? She got so angry she grabbed his wrist and soon had his arm twisted behind his back. He told her it hurt and to let go of him. She forced him into the bedroom and told him he was going to change into the clothes on the bed if he didn't agree to help her. He told her to go to hell. Before he could react, she had spun him around and ripped his shirt off. The buttons on his shirt flew in all directions. It took her almost 10 minutes, but she got him completely undressed. He said she was crazy and she slapped him so hard he fell to the floor. She pulled him up and before he realized she had the bra fastened on him. He resisted as she pulled panties up his legs. He tried to push them back down. She grabbed his wrist and quickly had him over her knee. She spanked him hard until he was crying like a baby. She told him he was going to get dressed in the clothes she'd laid out and he better not fight it anymore, as she continued to spank him. He finally agreed, but she kept spanking him until finally she quit and let him up. Her hands stung. He didn't resist as she stuffed handkerchiefs into the cups of the bra, then had him put on a pair of control top pantyhose. Then it was the slip followed by the knit dress. When he put the mules on, he complained they were tight. She told him that was too bad. She had him follow her to the kitchen and put the apron on him, telling him it was to protect the dress. Then she told him to clean the bathroom and to do a good job or he would get another spanking. He went to clean the bathroom. He couldn't believe she would do something like this to him. He was her husband, and cleaning was women's work. But his rear reminded him he'd better do as she said. He found all the cleaning materials under the sink and started cleaning. He felt stupid in the dress and thought about going to the bedroom and taking everything off, then thought about how Cynthia had spanked him and decided he'd better not do that. He did the countertop and the mirror and wiped the tank of the toilet and wiped the tub out. It looked good to him and he called out that he was done. Cynthia came in and looked around. It doesn't look like you did the toilet bowl or the tub surround, and what about the floor? There is a bucket in the pantry and rags to do the floor. First you scrub it and then you rinse it with clear water. Where is the mop? I said scrub it, not mop it. You'll do it on your hands and knees after you clean the toilet and tub surround. There is a streak on the mirror, clean it properly without streaks. She walked out. He'd never known there was so much to cleaning a bathroom. When he was scrubbing the floor, he wondered if she did it this way. He finished, and when she looked at it, she said it was passable. Then she said he deserved a reward and opened a drawer under the counter. She grabbed his chin and squeezed, and when she was done, he had a thick coat of lipstick on. She told him to do all the carpeting while she did the kitchen floor. He was doing the carpeting and saw her mopping the kitchen floor. He wondered why he couldn't have mopped the bathroom floor. When they finished, he said he was going to go change. She told him to keep the clothes on until he got ready for bed. He said he was going to change and that was that. She advanced on him and he said he would keep them on. He went to take the apron off, but she told him to leave that on too. She was sitting in his easy chair and told him to get her a glass of ice water. She didn't say please or anything else. He got it and brought it to her. She told him to curtsy to her. He said he wasn't going to curtsy to her. You did last night. Now do it now or else I will take more drastic action than I took before. Now, curtsy to me. Her tone of voice scared him and he did a perfect curtsy. She told him to sit down, that she wanted to talk to him. He sat down. I have decided you need an attitude adjustment. You have a sexist attitude and that has to go. Today you helped me clean and it didn't kill you. I have been thinking about how hard it was to get you dressed as you are now. You put up one heck of a fight, but you now know I can enforce whatever I say. Starting right now, I am taking control of this house. You will do what I say and not give me any trouble. I know you believe the man is in charge, but you are going to learn that is not always the case. I am going to wear the pants around here at least until you learn your lesson. I have learned my lesson. I will help you in the future. Just get me out of this dress. I said I was going to wear the pants, and what does that leave for you to wear? You don't believe I will wear dresses, do you? Yes, I do. You have to understand that you are not superior to anyone else, and that includes women. This is a new age and men can do cleaning and laundry and cooking. Now you can agree to do all that stuff or pay the consequences. I can't do all of that stuff. You will from right now be responsible for all of the cleaning, laundry, and cooking. If you don't agree, then you can leave right now, dressed as you are. You know I can't go out like this. Then I suggest you agree to what I said. What do you say? Let me think about it, please. Okay, tomorrow morning I want an answer, and it better be that you will do as I say. Tomorrow morning, if you are up before me, put on the black dress with the little sparkles around the neck. I'll see how I feel. He was shocked that she would actually expect him to put on a dress by himself. She has another guest coming if she thinks I am going to wear that dress tomorrow. At bedtime she told him to leave the bra and panties on so he wouldn't have to fumble with them tomorrow morning. She handed him a coral lace-trimmed nylon nightgown to wear to bed. He reluctantly put it on and crawled into bed. The next morning when he woke up he saw she was already up. He got up and took the nightgown off and threw it hard onto the bed. He was taking the panties off when Cynthia came into the bedroom. Leave those on. I have had enough of this. I am not going to wear panties today or a bra. I am going to get them off right now. She grabbed him and had only swatted him 5 times when he asked her not to hurt him anymore. She asked if he was going to wear the black dress, and he said yes. He came out to the breakfast counter and glared at her. She smiled as she handed him a cup of coffee. He sipped his coffee standing up. His rear still stung. When she told him to go put on lipstick, he balked. She grabbed his wrist and pulled him into the bathroom. She put a thick coat of lipstick on him, then handed him the tube and told him to hold it. She pulled him into the bedroom, where she handed him a white patent leather purse and told him to his lipstick into his purse. He did without argument. You will notice I said your lipstick and your purse. I do not want to see you without your purse. You will either be holding on to it or it will be within reach. Now come on, we have things to do. She pulled him along and soon he was sitting in the passenger seat of her car. He asked if she was serious about taking him out like he was, and she said she was dead serious. She took him to the largest mall in town, and their first stop was at a wig store. There he ended up with a short but curly brunette wig that matched his hair color. He couldn't believe she was doing this to him. He tried to make her release her grip on him when she took him into a shoe store, where she picked out 4 pair of heels for him, telling him if he cooperated she would buy him some flats to wear on occasion. He wore the black pair out of the store. He was thankful these shoes fit better than hers did. They weren't tight at all on his feet. They were walking past a beauty salon that had a sign saying beauty lessons and walk-ins welcome. She turned around and pulled him in there. She talked to a girl who looked like she could handle anything that came along, and asked if she could teach her sexist husband to do his own makeup. The girl said there wasn't any man she couldn't teach. The girl asked what sort of makeup lessons did she want, and Cynthia said makeup for an office environment. The girl said that would only take 45 minutes. Cynthia left him in the girl's hands. The girl pulled hard on his wrist and he had to go with her or risk falling. She seated him in a chair facing a mirror and started. She did each step, then removed the makeup she put on and had him do it himself. She handled him so rough he was afraid of her, and did as she showed him. She finished, then removed all of the makeup and had him do it all himself. He did a decent job and she said he was now adept at applying makeup. She handed him a pink plastic case containing the makeup they had used. He meekly put it in his purse. When she spun the chair around, he was surprised to see Cynthia standing there with a smile on her face. She was holding a bag, and he wondered what she had bought. He blushed. It could hardly be seen under the blush he already had on his cheeks, but Cynthia saw it. He followed her without her having to hold on to his wrist. She led him all the way to the end of this wing of the mall. Then she turned into a store. He saw it said Karen's Uniforms. Cynthia talked to the lady, then the lady led them over to a rack at which she showed them the difference between a French maid's and an English maid's uniforms. Cynthia selected the English maid's uniform, saying she knew he would appreciate the longer skirt. The lady looked at him and decided on what size he probably took, then took him to the booth to try it on. It was a little tight on him, and the woman told Cynthia that they sold corsets that would help plus give him a more feminine shape. He couldn't hear what Cynthia said to the woman, but the woman left and soon returned carrying a corset she showed Cynthia, saying it would hold Fort Knox if necessary. He was taken back to the booth and the woman said in an evil-sounding voice she had a present for him from his wife. She produced a set of gel-filled breast forms and glued them on his chest, then proceeded to get the corset on him. When she had it as tight as she could get it, he didn't think he could move. He thought he was going to pass out. She told him he'd better thank his wife for the beautiful set of breast forms and the fine corset or she would break his arm. He believed she could do it, from the strength she had shown him. They got back to Cynthia, who saw he looked so much better in the uniform. Cynthia thanked the woman for all of her help, then said he could now put the black dress back on. The woman said she would help him change. In the booth she told him he forgot to thank his wife for the breast forms and the nice corset. She told him he'd better do it as soon as he got back to her or she would follow through on her promise. When they got back by her he said, "Thank you for the breast forms and the nice corset." Cynthia knew he didn't mean it but told him she was sure he would love them. He felt helpless between these two women. It was something he'd never felt before. She led him to a women's dress store, and there she picked out 5 very nice dresses for him to wear to work. He felt sick when she told him he would look great at work in his new dresses. He still couldn't believe she would send him to work in a dress, but he knew she was strong-willed. He was relieved when she said they could leave. In the car she said there was only one thing left to do. He had no idea what that could be, but the way she was driving he knew they weren't heading home. When she parked in front of a lovely nails store he knew what was coming. She let him in and he couldn't hear what Cynthia and the girl were talking about. "My husband is too sexist, so I am changing his image. He thinks he is superior to all women. It is time to bring him down to earth. I want the longest nails you have on him, and colored so they attract attention. We do have some costume nails we ordered for a woman." She got one set and then said she never wanted nails that long again. "I will give them to you for a regular set price. Do you want to try them? They stick out really far." "They can't stick out too far. Go for it. He'll be ready in a half hour or so." Cynthia left and he was shown to a chair and the manicure began. At first he was enjoying it, but when she started to glue the long false nails on he asked if she was going to cut them shorter. "Why would you want them shorter? Long nails are more feminine. You want to be as feminine as possible, don't you? Cut them shorter. I am the customer and the customer is always right. I want them cut short. Your wife is the customer, not you. She is the one who ordered this manicure and she is the one who I listen to. Now your wife says you think you are superior to all women, is that true? A man is the boss in just about all areas. There are some women bosses, but they are basically men in disguise. Men have been in control since the caveman, and that is how it is supposed to be. See how the edge is thick? That's so you don't cut yourself on your nails. I am going to sharpen them for you. Then you will realize that a woman can be in charge and there isn't anything you can do about it. I don't care for macho attitude men at all. When she had all of the nails glued on, he watched as she took a motor tool with a grinding wheel and ground the edges of the nails. When she was done, she told him he could slice bread with them. Then she started to color them. She told him it was the most feminine color she could think of, and it was one of the shiniest they had. It was light lavender. She finished putting the color on, then started with the clear shiny top coat. She was putting the third coat of top coat on when Cynthia came back in. When Cynthia saw his nails, she praised how nice they looked. The girl said he definitely had an attitude problem, but she had done her best to help him overcome it. He couldn't believe she was going to leave those nails sticking out almost an inch and a half. The girl said those nails were stronger than real nails, but if any broke to come back and it would be replaced. In the car, Cynthia said even the nail girl could see he had an attitude problem. He said she was just trying to make points with her. She wanted to believe him, but she knew better. All the time he was trying to figure out how to get out of the clothes. They stopped at a small diner that wasn't busy at all. They were coming out of it when a drunken man came and put his arm around his shoulder. He said they should go have a drink. Charlie twisted out of his embrace and swung his hand holding the purse. The purse hit the man square on his jaw and he went down, hitting his head on the sidewalk. He was out cold. They hurried into the car and Cynthia said to him, "Welcome to the world of women. Now you know what we have to put up with." At home he got everything put away and still was wondering how he was going to get out of the dresses. It was all he could think of. He went to scratch an itch on his arm and with the sharp nails he cut himself slightly. "You have to do something about these nails. Look, I cut myself with them. Now you are looking at things like a woman. A man would look at a cut as a badge of honor, not a disaster. The nails stay. I am sure you will get used to them. Besides, they look so nice and shiny." Nothing he could do or think of was working to get her to change her mind. He slouched in his easy chair, not paying attention to what was on television. The next morning she made sure he did his makeup and looked just right in the red and white dress and red heels. She was satisfied he looked feminine enough and he left for work. At work he was having a ton of trouble dealing with the long fingernails, but after a while he adapted to the extra length. He got back to his old speed on the calculator. Mr. Henning came in to drop off the weekend receipts and Friday's invoices, all the time reading some article in a magazine. He didn't even notice what Charlie was wearing. He finished everything for the day, and when he headed to his car to go home he thought it was odd that no one had noticed he was wearing a dress. The thought crossed his mind that someone was watching out for him. When he got home he was surprised to see that Cynthia was already home. He asked her why she was home so early, and she said she took a personal day off from work. She said she did some shopping and filled out his wardrobe and got some odd things done. At supper she said she always started the laundry on Monday and finished it on Tuesday. She told him he could start it after he cleaned up from supper. He already knew how to use the washer and dryer from when she had gone to visit her parents for a week, a couple of times. He got most of the laundry done before it was time for bed. He was tired, and he knew it was because he hadn't gotten his usual rest after supper. He usually got a 10 or 15-minute power nap and then. When he went to get a nightgown from his drawer he saw there were more than he remembered and his men's clothes were gone. What happened to my men's clothes? I put them where you wouldn't be tempted to put them on. I figure this way you will know you don't have a choice in the matter. I know it is going to take some time for you to change, and I am starting to like the fact you are doing the housework around here. Tomorrow when you get home you can finish the laundry. This was getting more and more serious as it went along. He wouldn't have anything to wear even if he did get out of his dresses. This was very disconcerting to him. Tuesday, and he wore the dark navy blue dress with the white lace-trimmed collar and cuffs. At work Mr. Henning saw his outfit and only commented nice outfit. He couldn't believe nothing else was said. He was getting used to wearing dresses, and in some ways it wasn't bad, but he was a man and men didn't wear dresses. He wondered if there was someone who could get him out of this, but couldn't think of anyone who could help him. He finished early and headed home. At home he put the last load into the washer. Tonight he would get to relax. He started supper, and when Cynthia got home she commented on how nice it smelled in the house with the meal cooking. She went to change into something more comfortable. At supper she told him the teller who was giving her so many headaches had been transferred to the safety box area and now she didn't have to check all of her work. She said now her job was a lot easier and not so stressful. When he told her how Mr. Henning had only made a passing remark, which surprised him, she told him she had talked to him about the changes and why she was making them, to be sure he wouldn't lose his job. It shocked him that she had actually called his employer. She told him tomorrow he could start cleaning the house to cut Saturday's cleaning time. He was still trying to figure out what she had done with his men's clothes. He didn't think she had given them away, but what would she have done with them? The next day he was totally used to his long nails, and the calculator just sung as he totaled the previous day's bills and receipts. The totals came out to the penny and he was happy that the day had gone so well. At home he started cleaning the living room. He was doing the dusting, and removed 2 pictures from the wall and put them under some clothes in his dresser. He didn't think Cynthia would notice they were gone anyway. After supper Cynthia took a long soaking bath as he finished the living room. They watched the late news then went to bed. The next day he cleaned the bathroom. It seemed to take him forever, but it looked great after he was done. Even Cynthia said it looked like a model in a store, it was so clean. Friday he decided he was going to rest when he got home. Tomorrow he would have to finish the cleaning. At least it wouldn't take all day like it did last week. At supper Cynthia asked, "Well, how do you like getting ready every morning for work and having to do your makeup and everything?" "It could be worse. I have the makeup part pretty well down pat. The hardest thing is deciding which dress to wear." "I know what you mean. Hopefully, by the end of next week you will develop a system of picking which dress to wear. You have done a pretty good job this week. Keep it up." "What choice do I have? You hid my men's clothes and I don't have anywhere to go to get out of this. Look at the bright side. Everything is going pretty smoothly for you. It could be a lot worse." He thought about the week and had to admit it wasn't as bad as it could have been. He was used to the corset and the clothes didn't really feel bad at all. He couldn't say he liked them, but they weren't all that uncomfortable. They were relaxing watching television when Cynthia all of a sudden let out a gasp. He looked at her to see what the problem was. What happened to our wedding picture and the picture of us on that carnival ride on our honeymoon? Well, as for the wedding picture, that couple no longer lives here, and as for the carnival picture, remember what the man who took the picture said to us. He told us, always remember, even if you are having a disagreement, always respect the other one. I have always respected you, even now, but you lost your respect for me. Cynthia sat there in shock. She couldn't believe he felt that way. How could he remove their wedding picture and the honeymoon picture? Why didn't he say something first? At bedtime he saw she was in deep thought. He knew she didn't make fast decisions on anything important. It always made him antsy waiting for her to decide something when he knew what the outcome would be. The next morning he slept until almost 10. He'd never slept that late before and wondered why Cynthia hadn't called him. He got up and found a note on the table that said "Gone shopping." He started cleaning the hallways and bedrooms. He was just about finished in their bedroom when he heard Cynthia call him. He finished before going to see what she wanted. She was sitting at the table. He saw a bowl with something in it on the table. She told him to sit down. "This is one of the hardest things I have ever had to do in my life. Put your fingers in the bowl, please." He put his fingers in what he thought was water. She sat quiet for some time, then he saw tears forming in her eyes. He knew she could be emotional but not very often. He wondered what she was going to say. She dabbed her eyes with tissue and continued. "Your remarks last night hit home. They hit hard. I am so sorry I didn't respect who you are. I just wanted to change how you looked at people, especially women. I thought if you had to live as a woman you would see things differently. I never realized you felt the way you do. You can go back to wearing your men's clothes." He thought he had misheard her, but he hadn't. He wanted to shout for joy, but instead held his jubilation. "I appreciate that you are letting me back into my men's clothes. I actually did learn a lot this week. How much has it changed me? I don't really know. I know you have a high-stress job and that you can't turn it off because you are home, and I understand. I want you to understand something else. I have given it a lot of thought, and I can't really say you went too far. I know where you were coming from and I did need to change my attitude somewhat. However, in the future, please tell me what you think you are going to do and see if that does it. You are right. In the future I will definitely communicate more than I did this time. You did make a kind of cute woman, not a beauty queen but cute." They both giggled at that. Then he noticed his long nails were no longer attached to his fingertips. He said now if he could get the darn corset off it would be great to take a bath. She got the corset off of him and he went to take a long hot bath. In the tub he thought about all that had happened to him and decided it wasn't the worst thing in the world. He got out of the tub and removed all of the makeup. It was great to see his face again. In the bedroom, Cynthia was lying on the bed along with a complete outfit of his men's clothes. Cynthia said she would get rid of the women's clothes they had gotten for him. "Don't be in such a hurry. I may want to look pretty again, only now it will be to look pretty for you." They both had a long laugh at that.